What is going on, everyone? Prince of Free-to-Play here, and today we are going to be ranking all of the bronze servants in FGO. I am widely known as the single greatest tier list creator in the community. I don't think anyone has ever disagreed with me before, not once. And so before we get into it, make sure to follow me on Twitter. That is the platform I'm most active on. I also stream on Twitch occasionally. And yeah, so, just follow me there. Also, subscribe to the channel. Join the 5% Club. Become one of the members of the 5% Club. What are your perks, you ask? You get to see my videos. Those are the perks. So, before we get into ranking, I'm going to just quickly go over the tiers. We've got Gong tier. I wonder who's going to go there. We've got close to Gong tier. There's a reason that's here. And then we've got huge tier, that's reserved for the servants that are just like, when you see them on your team, you're like, oh my god, that's so huge. Like, very good servants. We've got alright slash niche tier. These are for the servants that are pretty good, or they're good because of a niche that they have. And then we've got bad. Let's face it, some of these servants are going to be bad. FGO is not going to make them all super powerful. They would never do that. They want your money, not your friend points. And then we've got the fan favorite cult classic making its second appearance on the Prince of Wales channel, the Bruh tier. Can I get a round of applause for Bruh tier? Alright, so first one on the chopping block, we'll go with, my man, Arash. So in my top 5 video, I mentioned him as an honorable mention. He does a ton of damage. You can get his Noble Phantasm turn 1 if you have the proper CEs. He's really good for clearing the first wave if you are not a massive whale and you don't have like all the core supports. He's still really good if you're not like a whale. So that's why he's going to make it to the huge tier, because again, he just does a ton of damage. If you put foes into him and give him a few grails, he's going to be doing just massive amounts of damage, easily clearing the first waves, and that's what he's meant for. He's just there to do the damage, get out of there to cycle your other DPS or your other support. So he makes use of that mechanic very well, and he just does a ton of damage, so he's in the huge tier. Alright, next up, we'll go with my man Asterios here. I'll put him here for now while we talk about him. He's got some pretty good skills overall. I believe he has a guts. He's got several attack buffs. The one thing though that really is going to hold him back is his just sorry excuse for an Noble Phantasm. In game it's ranked EX, which I think is just a tribute to how laughable the ranking system in this game is. Like, I'm pretty sure all this does is it's like an attack debuff and a defense debuff for like 6 turns, I think, it's a lot of turns, but the debuffs are like so minimal and not noticeable that I feel like that's gonna have to take him down to bad tier. If he had like a pretty heavy hitting like single target buster MP or even an arts MP, I think he would be at least an alright tier, but just his Noble Phantasm, man, it's not great. He's kind of like, when you look at his kit, you're like, oh, maybe I would use him like for a stall team, but he's a berserker and that's not really going to work out well for you. So yeah, unfortunately you have to give him bad tier. We'll rank Gareth. Gareth made her appearance in Lost Belt 6. That was pretty crazy, pretty crazy. I think overall she's a pretty solid unit. She has pretty good defense, pretty good survivability, pretty good attack, pretty good crit damage, decent MP gain. She also hits pretty hard. There's really nothing that just stands out about her though, so I don't think she's gonna make it all the way to huge tier, but she's definitely just solid all around. Doesn't really shine anywhere, doesn't really fall anywhere. Solid unit. That's alright. Pretty much alright is a good word to describe her. Next up, we'll go with Bunyan, Paul Bunyan. I'm thinking either alright or bad. I feel like in the past she would probably make alright just because her skills are pretty mid, but her Noble Phantasm was like so quick that like you would use her to farm, almost like a similar position to Arash, except nowhere near as powerful. I think just for her lack of survivability, because she does actually have the lowest HP in the game, believe it or not. The lowest HP in the game. And I believe she's like one of the only bronze servants that is not obtainable from the friend point summons, which is really weird. I feel like they should put her in there, but yeah, her skills are horrible. Her NP, the only thing she has going for her is the fact that she has one of the quickest NPs in the game, and put her in bad tier. She used to be pretty good at farming, but there are just so many alternatives now that it's not enough. Okay, who are we gonna go for next? We'll go with my girl, Charlotte Corday. I'm in between huge and alright, and here's why. She has the potential to hit very hard with her Noble Phantasm, and her NP gain is good enough to, like, if you get an Arts Chain, she'll be able to loop with the right support. The thing is, her third skill, it's really good on paper, but the fact that it's RNG and you can only get one of the 3 buffs really holds her back. I feel like she needs a buff, and I feel like how I would buff her is I would just get really RNG and give her all 3 of the buffs. And I think that would probably move her up to huge tier. She has mediocre survivability, I believe she has an evade, but the only thing she really has going for her is the fact that she can hit hard with her Noble Phantasm with the right support. And yeah, I really am not a fan of that RNG skill. So that's an alright / niche right there. Who do we want to... we'll just get one of the obvious ones out here. Hans Christian Andersen. Very good support for a free-to-play unit. Very good crit support. Very good Noble Phantasm. It's like a pseudo Merlin Noble Phantasm. So many different buffs you can get. And while I was complaining about the RNG on Charlotte's, I'm not going to complain about the RNG on Hans Christian Andersen's NP, because you can potentially get all the buffs, whereas with Charlotte you're only going to get one of the 3. With Hans you have the potential to get all the buffs, and there are ways to increase your skill success rate in this game. So if you're going to run that like paired with Ozymandias or something, you're going to be getting all those buffs, and it's just going to be a better time overall. So I think this is just no contest right here. One of the best supports, or one of the better supports in this game, especially being a free-to-play unit. I can't even tell you how many times I've pulled this guy trying to get Shen Gong, because I'm still on the quest to get level 120 Shen Gong. I hate the coin system so much. Maybe I'll make a video on that when it comes to NA. Maybe I'll do that, but the coins, man, the coins, yeah. I think Hans Christian Andersen, definitely huge. Definitely huge. We'll go with Nobukatsu. He's back on JP right now, so if you don't have him, get him. Definitely get him. He's pretty good. I don't think he's huge good. I did mention him in my top 5 bronze video. He was definitely an honorable mention, and he's an honorable mention because of his niche. And while I was making these tiers, I was really thinking, like, he's not huge. He's not really, like, going to be a huge unit. He's not even alright. But I didn't want to put him really low because he is good in his niche. He is the Nobu support. He makes servants like Avenger Nobunaga actually look good, which I think is just incredible. If you can make Avenger Nobunaga look good, you're easily in alright / niche tier. He has a few death buffs. He has a few Nobu specific buffs. If you want to know more in depth about his kit, either check the wiki or check the top 5 video. I go more depth about what he does. But overall, he's just a really good support. He doesn't really do much damage at all. He's not going to do any face card damage or MP damage because his MP kills him, which is, I guess, nice. Servants that kill themselves, while it doesn't sound good on paper, it really is good in practice because it allows you to cycle through your units. One of the best mystic codes in the game, the plug suit, as it's referred to, it's so good because it allows you to switch to like units on the back line, and these units allow you to do it for free essentially. So very good, very good. Overall niche tier for Nobukatsu there. We'll rank another, we'll go with Benkei. Benkei. His skills are so bad. He has one decent skill, and I believe it's his second skill, which is like it clears buffs on one enemy, which is a decent skill. It's a decent skill. His first skill is like a skill seal for enemy, which is, by the way, one of the worst things you can do in this game. Unless your enemy is going to spam skills that just completely obliterate you, sealing their skills will actually make them attack you more. It will actually make you attack you more because using a skill is one of their like actions. and enemies only have like a certain number of actions per turn. I believe normal servants have 3, and then berserkers have 2. So if you're stealing their skills, you're actually giving them more opportunities to use their actions on actually attacking you. So it's basically just, you know, building your own coffin right there, that skill. And then he has an NP seal, which NP seal I'm not a fan of. Like, if you're gonna avoid the NP, use like invul or evade, because seal just delays the inevitable. Because it just delays the inevitable. You hit that seal, next turn you're gonna get obliterated anyway, so not a great thing. So his skills are overall pretty trash. The only reason I'm not putting him in rough tier is because his noble phantasm is like it's a full like stun. So if you can get that full stun off, then you're gonna be in good shape. But like, it's just his skills are not great. His skills are not great. I may have confused his second skill for something else. He either does the debuff cleanse, or he either does the buff clear on his MP or his second skill. I can't remember which one it is. Either way, he's gonna be in bad tier no matter what. We'll go with Matahari. Matahari. I think right off the bat, I'm just gonna place her in bad tier. She is not gonna really do any damage. Her main thing is like charming, and I guess mediocre crit damage. She has a crit damage skill, and then the rest of her like kit is pretty much based around charming male enemies. Her initial charm only goes up to like 60-ish%, and then the rest of her charm chances comes from her noble phantasm. So 1, you have to pop your noble phantasm. 2, you have to use that skill, and then you have like a decent chance of actually charming male opponents. So overall, like, there are servants that just charm for free pretty much. So I don't know, you're not really gonna be getting much use out of Matahari. Definitely has some good art though. Definitely has some good art. Not gonna lie. So there we go. Our bad tier is slowly filling up. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? I think we're just gonna rip the band-aid off. We're gonna talk about the man Angra. Angra, while he's super sick. Angra is super sick. He is not too great. Not too great at all. Is there really anything to say about him? He's one of the rarest units in this game, if not the rarest. If not the rarest. I can't even tell you how many friend points I've like spent, and I only have him at like MP2. His skills are awful. I don't think he really has a single good skill. And then his Noble Phantasm does 0 damage and then like kills him. And I was talking about how that can be good, but in Arash's case, he does a ton of damage, gets himself out of there. Nobu's case, he buffs up buffs up your allies a ton and gets out of there. Angra, he does nothing and then just kills himself. Not great. And for being one of the rarest servants in this game, you'd think he'd be like super cool or super crazy, but he's not. That's a bra tier. That is a bra tier. Next up, we will, I guess, what do we want to do? Bloodaxe? Bloodaxe, he's alright. He does, like, I feel like he's almost like a Gareth, right? He's almost, I don't know, I'm like struggling between alright and bad. He's kind of like if Asterios had a damaging Noble Phantasm in a way. I think we're gonna put him in alright. We're gonna put him in alright for now. For now, we'll circle back at the end to check all the tiers. Okay, we will go to Leonidas. Huge. I mentioned him in my top 5 video as an honorable mention. Easily could have made the top 5. He's a very good tank, very good star gen. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but he can. But he's mainly there for stalling and tanking. And he's very good at it. So that's a huge tier. He's got a very good, not even niche. It's just a very good market right there for Leonidas. I think there's not much more I can say. And I guess his counterpart here, we've got George. George was the number 2 servant in my top 5 video. So basically George, he's there to enable soloing, and soloing is just a broken meta. So yeah, he really doesn't do too much other than just, he has the taunt, and that's basically his biggest claim to fame. And then he has his amazing Bond CE, which on his death he gives your ally like invincibility, which is amazing for solo. He's just built for the solo meta. He is built for the solo meta. Another unit that I mentioned in my top 5 video, we've got freaking Salome, Miss Salami, if you will. I love Salami, by the way. Salami is very good. 1 in the comments if you like Salami. So we've got Matahari. She is in a similar situation as Nobukatsu. Not the same as Nobukatsu at all, but like very similar situation. She is very niche. She allows you to basically curse your enemies to death, which is just so fun to do. It's really funny. If you're annoyed with the challenge quest, it just has too high a defense or just spams invincibility. You can just, I guess, if you somehow find a Salome friend, you can curse the enemy to death, which is just so funny. So, I mean, apart from her curse shenanigans, she doesn't really do much. But because she can curse your enemies to death, that's her niche, she's going to make it into alright tier. I think if she couldn't curse your enemies to death, she would be in, like, around bad tier. But she's going to make it into niche tier. She's definitely going to make it into niche tier. I guess we'll go with Cursed Arm here. Cursed Arm, he's alright. He can hit pretty hard. He has a ton of ways to generate stars. He's got a star bomb. He's got stars per turn. He's got the crit buffs. He has a heavy, quick deck. And then he has a pretty heavy-hitting quick NP. And then he has this mechanic, which I am an insta-kill hater. I am an insta-kill hater. But I think what this guy does with insta-kill is very interesting. If you get the insta-kill to proc, then he will get 50% NP back and an attack boost. I think that is crazy. That is how insta-kill should be done every single time. Because most of the time, when you get that insta-kill off, it's not really rewarding. You don't get any NP back for it. You don't get really anything from it. It's almost like a waste of a kill. It's almost like a waste of a kill because you're not really getting anything from it. But in Cursed Arm's case, you're getting something from having the insta-kill proc. Which, I mean, I would love to see more servants with this in the future. I would definitely love to see it in the future. If Shiki had something like this, oh, I would love her unit. I would love that. Yeah, so for that mechanic right there, that's definitely going to be alright. That's definitely going to bring him into alright tier. And before I continue, I should say alright tier is not bad. Like, we have a bad tier for a reason. A thing that a lot of people will say and do when they see a tier list is they'll be like, oh, this unit isn't in the top tier, that automatically means you think they're bad, which is not true. Not true at all. The higher tiers, these are meant for servants that like exceed the bar. Servants in this tier and above, or around this tier, that means they're good enough to be like used. But servants here are just better. Like, that's how a tier list works. That's how a tier list works. Moving on, I think we will now get into Shakespeare. I think Shakespeare, he's a good buster support. Doesn't do any damage. He really is only there to support buster units. So he's a very good discount, like, not gonna say discount Merlin, but he's like a discount support. So he's not really alright, he's just more niche, because if you don't have the better buster supports, which there are plenty, even like Shen Gong is a good buster support. Yeah, but like if you don't have Merlin and you don't have Vich and you don't have Oberon, like there are so many, by now you should have at least one of them. But if you don't have any of them, he's going to be your man. He's definitely niche, which is why he's going to make it to this tier. Moving on, we have another servant that made the top 5. We have Mozart. Mozart, he just gives you guaranteed crits for no reason. He's like, oh, you want to hit the guaranteed crit button? There you go. Because he has the largest star buff in the game, 50 stars. 50 stars, and then he's also a pretty good art support. He has like a 44% art buff or something for the party, which is just crazy. His noble fans has him, leaves a lot to be desired. But, I mean, you're really using him for his star bomb and his arts anyway. So, like, I mean, what more can you ask for? He's crazy. I think he made my number 5 spot on the top 5, so definitely up there. Definitely one of the better bronze servants in this game. Moving on, I think we're just gonna talk about the man right here. Shen Gong. I don't think anyone here is close to him. I'm just gonna spoil it. No one is going to be in close to Gong tier. That is just there to just accentuate Shen Gong's prowess. He is so good. One of the best DPS servants in this game. One of the best supports in this game. The best solo enabler in this game. Just so much utility. He basically, so I was praising the sacrifice mechanic, where it's like, oh, you can cycle through your supports. Shen Gong is the king of cycling your units. The king. There is no one close to him. It is like having 3 Arashes, except more damaging and more effective. It's insane. For a free-to-play unit, this guy could easily be a 5-star. He could easily be an SSR. Easily. And I would summon for him. NP5. Easily. So, FGO, DW, if you're watching and you want a way to make money, just release a 5-star Shen Gong, and my wallet will become yours. My wallet will just become yours. I will fly out to Japan and give you my wallet. It's easy as that. Free money. So yeah, no one's close to Gong. I think Gong is just the king of bronze servants, and we are going to be moving on to Paris. Paris is definitely an alright servant. He's not really niche, but he does have an interesting mechanic. I believe his special debuff is called like Vital Points Targeted or something like that. And if you land that debuff, which you're guaranteed to pretty much, he's going to be doing extra damage with Noble Phantasm. I think that's cool. It like fits with his character. It's like, oh, I've got you like locked, like I've got your vitals locked in, and I guess he's gonna do more damage. He has a battery, a small heal, and then he's got a buff cleanse on, or a buff clear for the enemy. So overall, a lot of things going for him. I feel like he's kind of like Gareth, where he's not really crazy. He can hit really hard. I've seen videos of this man just hitting millions of damage with double Scotty and the like. So he can definitely hit hard, like Charlotte Corday can, and then he's kind of like solid in every way like Gareth is. So maybe he lacks survivability, but he's got a heal. So overall, pretty solid. We will rank Kojiro now. Kojiro, I feel like, is similar to Cursed Arm. They've got the quick decks, they've got ways to generate stars. Kojiro has a special buff where every time you use a quick card, you're going to be applying quick resistance down on the enemy, so every quick card after your first one is going to be hitting slightly harder. His Noble Phantasm gives you a quick buff, so he's really about just spamming quick cards at the end of the day. Just about spamming quick cards. He's got a debuff clear, which is always nice, because sometimes the enemies are just going to spam debuffs on you, and it is not a fun time. I don't know if he's good enough to make it into huge tier. I feel like if you put maybe a few grails in him and give him some foes, he might make it up to there, but I feel like he's very Cursed Army in a way, just like the quick spamming nature of it. Definitely, if he was maybe like a Saber, I think he'd probably be better. Almost. He would generate less stars, but like, he wouldn't suffer from that 0.9, or that, the 0.9% like thing, whatever, because for some reason, DW thought it was a good idea to make assassins just hit weaker than normal units for some reason. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why they did that. Next up we have Jason, another unit that was mentioned in my top 5. You can see here that most of the huge tier is just servants that I talked about in the top 5, honorable mentions, and people that even made the list. Jason, he's a very good budget arts looper. If you have like either Tamamo in Nero Bride or just Castoria, he's gonna loop very effectively. He's gonna miss out on like the damage, but he's a free MP5, so he's gonna be serving you well. If you don't have any support units whatsoever, I would say he's not that great. But I mean, chances are you have. Like, if you don't have Castoria at this point, I think you should just quit JP, honestly. Just quit JP, it's over. Play NA, wait to get her there. She's just too good to not have. So yeah, I think he's definitely huge, just because of the potential he has. I don't think really any other servant on this list, except for Shen Gong, is going to be really that great for farming at all. Like, I'm looking at the servants here. Maybe Spartacus. Maybe, like, if you... I don't know. Spartacus, I guess... We'll talk about him now. I think Spartacus is alright. He suffers from, like... I don't know why they love giving Berserkers heals. Heals on Berserker, unless you're Arjuna Alter, and you have a Guts paired with HP per turn, there's just no reason for you to have a heal as a Berserker. And Spartacus definitely has a lot of healing. He heals on his Noble Phantasm, he heals with his skill, but he has a Berserker with he is a Berserker, and he has one of the lowest HPs in the game, and he will get one-shot by like a random crit, so a heal is going to be useless for him. He does have a Guts, which is good, but other than that, he has a Battery, which, like I said, is going to be decent for farming. He's AoE, he's going to do a mediocre amount of damage. Fun fact, this guy has actually one of the lowest attacks in the game, despite being a Berserker. I made a Jeopardy question about that a while ago. I think at base level, he has the lowest attack in the game. Which which is why I said he might not be the greatest for farming, but he might be the only one closest to like these two, which I think is funny. But yeah, he definitely suffers from just being a Berserker. A lot of the things wrong with these Berserkers is that their stats are so low because they're such a low rarity. If they had higher stats, they might be a little bit better, but the fact that these servants will just get one shot randomly is just not great. That means you always have to be using their Guts like turn 1, just to avoid the random crits. Next up, we will go with Blackbeard. Now, I love Blackbeard. He's so cool, he's so funny, but he's not really great. He's not great, and he doesn't really have a niche. He has a heal. I guess you could say his niche is that he will heal female/feminine looking servants slightly more. I believe it's 2k HP. He gets like 10 stars on his Noble Phantasm. He doesn't hit hard. He has like a support skill. I think it gives attack and NP damage to the team, but he just there's just not a lot going for him, and it pains me to put him in bad tier, but I think I'm just gonna have to. Okay, so next up, we will be ranking Phantom of the Opera. Now, Phantom of the Opera, I'm gonna tell you right now, he is either in bad tier or bra tier. I can't really. I'm gonna have to put him in bra. None of his skills are good. I think actually the only thing he has to his name is a buff clear on the enemy. I think he has that, which if that's the only thing you have, that's not that great. In Benkei's case, he also has like the mass stun, so there's that. I don't think Phantom is pretty much a meme for how bad he is. I put Angra in bra tier because he's bad, but Phantom of the Opera is just horrible. He's horrible. He has an Arts MP which has 1 hit, and he also has insta-kill. And again, I've talked about how horrible insta-kill is, but he's no cursed arm. He doesn't get that buff whenever you hit the insta-kill. So he's really just got nothing. He's really got nothing. So I think next we will be ranking Caligula. He's very cool. Honestly, very cool. He has a steroid, which is very good. 50% buster buff, which I think is one of the higher buffs out of all these free-to-play units. I believe so. It's unfortunate though, he has an Arts NP, which is a, guess what it does? Guess what it does? It is a skill seal. It is a skill seal. And guess what it has on Overcharge? An NP seal. But here's the thing. This NP seal is for 3 turns, and normally with a skill seal, not skill seal, NP seal, normally, it's bad because you're just delaying for 1 turn. You're delaying the NP for 1 turn, but in his case, it's 3 turns. So it's essentially like just using it up, because most of the enemies are gonna have like 3 bars, or 3 little sections to charge their NP. So it's essentially just like tanking it, but I feel like if he didn't have that 3-turn seal, he would maybe even be in bra tier, honestly. Because he's got a buster buff, he's got Imperial Privilege, and he has no way to increase his like buff success. And then he's got an attack buff, so I think he's gonna make it into bad tier. He's so cool. Again, he's a Berserker, so like his survivability is very low. He doesn't even have Guts, If you're a berserker and you don't have guts, that's just, it's a yikes. It's honestly a yikes. Okay, so the audio on the last two servants kind of messed up, so I'm just gonna recap. I put Bartholomew in bad tier because, I mean, he's kind of like a crit support somewhat, but his crit support comes from the fact that he lowers his star weight, which is never really a reliable mechanic. Yeah, just riders that are also crit supports don't really work that well because they have the highest star weight in the game. So, I mean, he just fails to achieve what he's supposed to do, so it's bad. And then Mr. Sanson over here, 2 of his skills are completely useless. Actually, all 3 of them are completely useless. And his Noble Phantasm is non-existent. So yeah, so that's a bra tier. I don't think he's good at all. So anyway, this is the official Bronze Servant tier list. If you have any problems with it, please let me know in the comments, please. If you agree, leave a like, subscribe. We're getting close to 300 subs. At 300 subs, I will be doing a part 2 to my Beast Burger review. So if you guys want that, you better hit that subscribe button. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.